It seems we have found a successful playbook to stop Elon Musk. The Alliance for Retired Americans and the federal employee union sued the Treasury Department, saying, you need to stop giving access to these DOGE employees because they are violating the Privacy Act of 1974. They're violating the Internal Revenue Code by giving them access. And they requested a motion for a temporary restraining order from the judge, which would say you have to stop them from getting access right now because the harm, if you give it to them, is going to be imminent and irreparable, which are the terms that they need to satisfy to get a TRO. The judge told the parties, negotiate this, and they were able to come back. And they got the Treasury Department to agree to not give the DOGE employees orders. The judge has put that into an official order. So a successful strategy that can be replicated. As we know, DOGE is going after many different agencies. This group were able to use existing federal laws to put a check on Elon Musk's, what he's trying to have as unfettered power. My name is Dina Sayegh Doll with the MeidasTouch Network. Let's break into exactly what that order said. Now, as we know, Elon Musk and DOGE thought that they could just do whatever they wanted. You know, he bought the presidency for what, about $250 million. And now he was able to just go in there and do what he wanted. And that's what he attempted. He attempted to go into our payment system where the federal government pays out trillions in dollars of checks to Americans on a daily basis. So he decides he wants access to this. And the 30-year career employee, non-political appointee, David Lebrecht, resigned. He resigned over Elon Musk wanting to get access. But as we know, Elon Musk went ahead and got access anyway. And that started the flurry of lawsuits, and specifically the lawsuit from the Alliance for Retired Americans, as well as two different federal employee unions. And they said, hey, you granting DOGE access to this data is a violation of the Privacy Act of 1974, as well as the Internal Revenue Code. Because this system didn't just have to do with whether or not you were getting Social Security benefits or whether or not you were getting disability benefits. It also meant that if you have ever filed a tax return or received a tax refund, your information and data was in this system and accessible by DOGE. So literally every single American out there. And because this information is so sensitive, we have laws in place that govern who has access to this information, both by the Privacy Act of 1974, plus by the Internal Revenue Code. And then we also have the Administrative Procedures Act that governs how agencies are supposed to function, and they're not supposed to be arbitrary or capricious, and this was certainly both. So, the Alliance for Retired Americans and the other plaintiffs filed this asking for relief, but at the same time, they filed a motion for a temporary restraining order asking the judge to stop the Treasury Department from granting access to DOGE, saying, this litigation is going to take a long time. Litigation always takes a long time. If you allow them access in the meantime, we are going to have a harm that is irreparable, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And this is imminent because it's literally happening right now. So those are the two factors that they have to satisfy for a motion for a temporary restraining order, and them arguing that they are satisfying them. There was a hearing where the judge asked the parties, the judge was an appointee by Bill Clinton, and asked the parties to kind of flesh this out. And of course, the lawyer for the government could not say during the hearing whether or not the Treasury Department employees were giving access to the DOGE employee. He kept on saying something like, not to our knowledge, which for a lawyer, that's a non-answer, certainly not giving assurances to the court that, in fact, the DOGE employees weren't getting access to it. And in the meantime, we know there was a whole separate battle outside the court battle. There's a whole separate political battle that was going on. We saw Senator Elizabeth Warren write a letter to the Treasury Department saying, you can't just go and give this highly sensitive. We're talking about Social Security numbers. We're talking about I mean, we're talking about tax information. We're talking about how much people have made, addresses. I mean, you can't even fathom the amount of personal data that's in this. You just can't go ahead and give this away. The Treasury Department sending a letter back saying, oh, it is only read-only access. First of all, do we believe that or not? This is not like he's saying this under oath, but just in a letter. And secondly, read-only access is also divulging the information. If you even can read somebody's social security number, that is a violation of privacy. And then we saw the Democrats going down to the Treasury Department, and there being protests. And, we'll look at that a little bit more about the difference that they were making politically to kind of bring that attention to the American people. But in terms of the motion for temporary restraining order, the judge issuing. So this is what they were requesting specifically. I'll just read from that order to just give you exactly what the motion was requesting. So they were requesting that the court enjoin the defendant's Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, the Department of the Treasury, and the Bureau of the Fiscal Service from disclosing information about individuals to individuals affiliated with the so-called Department of Government Efficiency. It's called so-called because this is just, they've created this DOGE with used to be the digital service. Nobody in Congress is supposed to oversee these things, has any idea what's going on. And then it goes on to say, and enjoining defendants to retrieve and safeguard any such information that has already been obtained by DOGE or individuals associated with it, as set forth in more detail in the accompanying memorandum. Defendants have unlawfully implemented and are unlawfully maintaining a system that enables records and information about individuals to be accessed and disclosed to unauthorized parties in violation of the Privacy Act of 1974 and the Internal Revenue Code. Defendants' actions should be enjoined under the Administrative Procedure Act because it is in excess of defendants' statutory authority and is arbitrary and capricious. Plaintiffs will suffer imminent and irreparable injury should unlawful access be permitted to continue. So satisfying all the requirements of a TRO, as well as saying, this is going to be unlawful, because one of the things that they have to argue in a TRO is that how likely will you be successful in your litigation? If your litigation is kind of likely to fail, you don't have a very strong legal argument, you're less likely to get a TRO because there is no harm that you're going to be protected from. So showing that their merits are successful as well. And so coming out after the hearing where it seemed, the judge seemed likely to grant the TRO, but asking the parties to see basically if they can agree it themselves, a little bit on the hedge of the judge kind of saving the decision a little bit on how, can the parties come to agreement with themselves? And I'm going to read from you exactly what the judge is doing. Again, a successful strategy and a successful playbook that others can follow as we're trying to stop Elon Musk gaining access from the agency. So the order issued by the judge says, with the consent of the parties, the court defers ruling on the plaintiff's motion for a temporary restraining order and orders as follows, which basically is saying the parties are agreeing to this order. For some reason, this agreement falls apart. Then the judge will ultimately rule on that initial motion for restraining order. But so far, because of this agreement, the plaintiffs, the Alliance for Retired Americans, the unions are getting exactly what they asked for. And this is what they asked for and are getting. It says the defendants will not provide access to any payment record or payment system of records maintained by or within the Bureau of the Fiscal Service. That's our payment system. Except that the defendants may provide access to any of the following people. Mr. Tom Kraus, a special government employee in the Department of Treasury, as needed for the performance of his duties, provided that such access to payment records will be read-only. Mr. Marco Elez, a special government employee in the Department of the Treasury, as needed for the performance of his duties, provided that such access to payment records will be read-only. So only those two designated special government employees can have access to the records, can be read-only. That's it. And then it says, third, any person who is an employee but not a special government employee of the Department of Treasury and who has a need for the record or systems of records and the performance of their duties, which means, the typical Treasury employees that existed before, exist after, they can continue to get these records. Any person who's entitled to access the record or systems of records under 5 U.S.C. 552, which is the Privacy Act. So anybody who's entitled to access it under the Privacy Act. And then the last one, any person who's entitled to access the relevant records or system of records under the Internal Revenue Code. So in agreeing to the entry of this order, the parties expressly reserve all legal and factual arguments relative to the plaintiff's claims. So essentially that order is saying, other than those 2 special government employees that the government had identified at the hearing, nobody else at DOGE, including Elon Musk, can have access to those Department Treasury payment systems, the records, whether or not it's even read-only or not read-only. Certainly a win. Showing the strength. I mean, these next few years are going to be a test of our federal civil laws. How strong is that Privacy Act? How strong is that Administrative Procedure Act? In this case, we're showing the strength of it because it has had an initial stop. We're talking about a week, right? From when he resigned, David Liberec resigned last Friday. This is happening quickly. They were able to get this restraining order, maybe not fully because the judge allowed them to agree to it, but they got this order quickly to stop the rest of DOGE. They can't cycle in people at whim. Musk can't just, decide, hey, give me these records. I want to see for myself. I want to post it on X and decide who I want to do with it. This is being governed by a court of law. And so we are going to test the strength of our court systems, the strength of our laws. So everybody else kind of trying to figure out how to stop this Trump administration. Here is a winning playbook to look at. And then in terms of the Democratic response, that was also a win. There was a lot of, they broke through the noise, let's say, of the Trump administration, broke through the noise. Congressman Maxwell Frost saying he was on the oversight committee and he has no idea what DOGE was doing, pointing out to the American people, I can't do my job that you elected me for because this man who was never elected, isn't even bothering to tell the people who are in charge of overseeing this what's going on and how problematic that is. Take a look at the groups, the protests that came out to try to bring some noise and attention to the American people. Are you worse off with Trump? Are you worse off? Yes, you're worse off because government is supposed to protect your data. And instead, they're allowing this unelected person to do it or not do it, but not even bother to tell you. And this is your data. So take a look.
Hey, everybody. Congressman Maxwell Frost here with many of my colleagues. We're here because an unelected billionaire has access to the private information of our constituents that we want to answer.
Yeah, so it's Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett here. And let me tell y'all, oversight is going to do our job. So we are here because we need to understand why it is that our Department of Treasury has been broken into. And we need to go ahead and handle the person that decided that they were going to have the audacity to go after our information.
Seth Magaziner from Rhode Island, former state treasurer. We need to know who is in control of the Treasury, what their permissions are, what their intentions are, and what they want to do with your money and your identity. We need answers now.
What do we need?
Everyone who knows me knows how much I love this sponsor. It's OneSkin. They are an incredible product that I've been using now for over a year, and I've incorporated it into my skincare routine. So if you're frustrated with your current skincare routine, for years, products have promised to fix lines, wrinkles, crepey skin, but they look hardly ever deliver lasting results. That's why today's sponsor, OneSkin, changes everything. In honor of National Women's Inventors Month, we're highlighting OneSkin's founding team of female scientists who developed a whole new approach to skincare, starting at the cellular level. Their proprietary OS1 peptide is the first peptide scientifically proven to reverse skin aging by switching off the dysfunctional senescent cells that cause lines, wrinkles, and crepey skin. You can try OS1 in all of their products and their supplements. You can try their flagship facial moisturizer, which is the one I happen to love, their award-winning eye cream. They also have sunskins that protect the skin from UV damage and cellular aging. Your skin is your body's largest organ, and so it's the most linked to visible signs of aging. And with OneSkin, you're helping your skin look, feel, and act like its younger self every time you use it. So see for yourself.
Senator Chris Murphy was also really vocal and calling to attention how dangerous it is for Elon Musk specifically to have access to our data, because he also controls X and has used it as a bully pulpit. And do you want somebody who has the leverage of X to also have your private data and private information? Like if you post something on there that he doesn't like, is he going to find out information about you and either stop payments to you or use that against you? This is the danger of having an unelected person who also has X have this kind of data. I mean, TikTok was shut down for a whole lot less than this. There wasn't even any evidence that China ever tried to access data. And here you have Elon Musk trying to access data and in control of a social media X. So Senator Chris Murphy putting it really well, the danger of Elon Musk having this kind of unfettered access.
What can Democrats at this moment do to raise the concerns, to try to block whatever Musk is attempting to do there at some of our, frankly, most sensitive sites, some of our nation's deepest important secrets?
Yeah, so it is extraordinary how much access Elon Musk and his sort of creepy 22-year-old henchmen have to all of our data, right? They have information that would allow them to shut down your tax refund, your Medicare payment. They know everything, potentially. They know everything about you and your family. And the reality is that this could get dystopian very quickly, that if you were to start speaking ill of Elon Musk on social media, Elon Musk might be able to stop or delay your tax refund or your mom's Social Security benefit, in part because we have no window into what's happening inside the Department of Treasury right now. We were there last night on the steps of the Treasury Department asking to get in and meet with people to find out what the extent of the damage was. We thought there would be a couple hundred people with us. There were, I think, over 1,000, perhaps 2,000 people. The American people are rising up right now, putting pressure on legislators, including Republicans, to step in and do something about this. Listen, we are the minority party. Republicans are in charge in the United States Senate and House of Representatives. If we were to have any chance of passing legislation to stop Elon Musk's power grab and information grab, Republicans would have to work with us. And so we are going to use whatever levers we have to try to raise the temperature in the Senate. I am not voting for a single nominee. I'm not expediting a single nominee until Republicans join us to stop this power grab. We will go to the courts on what's happening in the Department of Treasury. We will hold rallies this weekend to make sure that Republicans know that they're going to pay a political price. We will use every tool at our disposal to try to get this crisis fixed, but we ultimately need Republicans who are in charge to take this seriously.
So Elon Musk and DOGE's violation of our data privacy laws have had some wins in courts to try to stop them. They've had Democratic voices in DC get louder, and American people showing up to protest, and Americans taking it in their own hands to file privacy complaints, such as in California. The link to the California Privacy Protection Agency was circulating because that is where you can file a complaint saying that there has been a violation of your data privacy. And California is not the only state that has it, so you may want to look into it and see if you want to file your own complaint about DOGE and Elon Musk violating the privacy of your data that the federal government controls.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.